From the White House, meeting with crypto executives expected tomorrow to Bitcoin prices and the latest on the Clarity Act. We're joined now by Anthony Scaramucci, SkyBridge's Capital founder, managing partner. Joins us from Wyoming's Blockchain Symposium. Good morning to you. Before we get into all of the sort of big policy choices and thoughts, I'm just curious what you actually think of Bitcoin and the price of Bitcoin. We used to talk, Anthony, about Bitcoin and whether it was going up or down all the time. It was this, it becomes sort of our signal of a risk on versus risk off. And it hasn't really moved much around in quite a while. And I'm curious sort of what you think that means.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of different interpretations. I mean, I think my basic one is, and again, I'll just point out what you're saying is true, Andrew, because it's been 9 weeks where Bitcoin is in the tightest volatility band that it's been in the last 5 years. So it really hasn't moved much at all. I mean, when the war started in February, it was roughly the same price that it is today. So it's been grinding. But I think there's 3 things going on. One is a lot of the miners have transferred compute power over to AI, which disrupted the hash rate. I don't want to be overly technical with people, but I think that muted some of the volatility. The second thing is capital fled the cryptocurrency markets. In addition to Bitcoin, other tokens in the cryptocurrency markets into AI. And then I think the third thing is if you're a 4-year cycle believer, like most people are in crypto, Bitcoin now is getting towards that end of what we would typically see the bear market of Bitcoin in the 4-year cycle. So we're now through 2 years. And we're about 18 or 19 months away from the next halving. So all of those factors, I think, have muted Bitcoin's price. But I guess the real question is, are we still bulls on Bitcoin? And the answer is resoundingly yes. I think as the halving cycle comes in again and we cut the supply of coins again, it will tighten price. And I think you'll see the thing move back up over 100,000. But it's going to grind for a while, Andrew, and people don't like that.
Is there a catalyst, though, that would make it move higher? I understand your catalyst is sort of the supply story on it, but is there anything else in the financing space that would be a catalyst on the upside? And one of the things that I was going to say might be a catalyst on the downside, but I don't know, is I think there's been more pressure to bear, at least thought these days, around quantum computing and the potential for, maybe you disagree with this, but I keep hearing from people who are now talking more about what that means and cybersecurity and the ability to, potentially break some of these algorithms longer term.
Well, I mean, I'll address that briefly. I think the core developers in Bitcoin will be able to figure that out. There's a lot of different ways that can be treated. I do understand why that would be an idea of worry for a retail investor that hasn't done as much research on Bitcoin as people at SkyBridge have done. So I don't see that as the overall risk, but I think you're bringing up an even bigger point. What is the catalyst? And I don't see a near-term catalyst, frankly, other than that supply-demand differential. Moreover, I don't think the Clarity Act, should it pass, and maybe it's 50-50 that it will. I mean, that was Senator Tim Scott is here with Senator Cynthia Lummis, and they still believe they can get this passed in September. That might be a tiny catalyst, but I don't see that as being a big catalyst either. So this is a grinding situation.
Well, that's interesting. Why wouldn't it be? Because this is the bill that the industry has been trying to push forward to try to get some clarity for quite some time. Explain it to the audience. Why I would have thought that having this bill would be a big boon to the business.
Well, I think long term it would be a very big bill. You have to read through the bill and recognize what's going on. And basically, put simply, there'll be a lot of access opportunities for banks, and there'll be a lot of changes in the way you can hold your Bitcoin in the United States. And it would remove this sort of pendulum swing of regulation between Republican regulation and Democrat regulation. And all those things are good things. But again, this is just my opinion. It is a contrarian opinion, by the way. You could bring another person on. They'll say, oh, no, the Clarity Act will be like a rocket ship for Bitcoin. But remember, our team is looking at it every day, and we're looking at the flows. And the good thing about Bitcoin, because it's on the blockchain, you can see all the activity. And so I'm just saying, yes, if it passes, it's great for us long term, Andrew. And obviously, I really do want to see it pass. But I'm not the perma bull where I'm just going to tell you nonsense on television. I think it will go higher over time as the supply-demand differential changes once again. But again, 37 years doing this, 9 bear markets. This is a clear Bitcoin bear market, and yet we've only had a 55% drop in Bitcoin, where in other bear markets, Andrew, you've gotten like a 75, 80% drop. So weirdly, you could take a position where that's actually a good sign that there's a lot of net buyers going into the next bull phase of Bitcoin.
Okay, I'm going to throw, I don't know if there's going to be a proverbial grenade into this conversation, but as somebody who has been an advocate for crypto for a long time, I'm curious what you made of the headline that World Liberty Financial, which of course owned by the Trump family, has been conditionally given permission to become a bank. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't really think that's that big of a grenade. I mean, that was like not even an M80. I mean, listen, if they become a bank, it's not really that big of a deal for the overall market. I guess what you have to ask the question of what is the president's family allowed to do and what are they not allowed to do? And whatever my disagreements are with the president, I don't think it's fair to take his family members who are business people and tell them, oh, your dad's the president, so you can no longer transact in business. So I do not think that that's fair. Having said that, because they are the president's children, it has to be looked at carefully just to make sure that they're not great conflicts of interest. But I don't like the nonsense of people being in public service where we've got to extra scrutinize their children. That's me. So I don't know. It was sort of an M80. Try another one, Andrew. Get a bigger grenade out. Try another one.
I wasn't trying. I didn't know where you were going to go with it. So that's why I sort of teed it up that way.
I'm a capitalist.
I understand.
Ken Leone is one of my mentors. I love capitalism.
Is whether you think that the crypto community, the idea that a lot of these crypto companies are going to get bank charters and what that ultimately does to the business longer term.
Well, listen, if the Clarity Act passes, you have money center banks, regional banks, community banks that will all be in that same position. And so, I'm predicting, should Clarity pass, you'll see that convergence. You'll see many of the cryptocurrency companies. I don't want to speak for Coinbase or others, but I think it would be prudent for them to get banking licenses. And the World Liberty situation could be a tell. They're looking at the situation and saying, well, maybe this thing passes, and we want to be at the front end of the line to get these banking licenses in place.